everyone, and welcome to Will AP Automation Ever Rule the World? We are KwikTag, the software division of Enchoice. We've been around in the Dynamics community for about 20 years, maybe a little more. We focus specifically on AP and payment automation for Microsoft Dynamics GP and Business Central, as well as document management for the entire MS Dynamics suite. Before we get started, we did want to thank DynamicsCon for hosting us today. We are so excited to get started talking about the past, present, and future of AP automation and how it has benefited several real-world companies. We'll also have a product preview towards the end. I did want to take a moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Haley McLaughlin. I'm the Marketing Communication Specialist here at KwikTag, and I am joined by Mary Miller, the Director of Marketing and Channel, and two of our senior account executives, Tiffany Allen and Sean Fitzgerald. If you guys want to say hello.
Hi there. Thanks for having us today.
Welcome, everyone. We're excited to be participating in DynamicsCon again, and we're glad that you're here.
Absolutely. Glad to be back with you guys again and excited to show you the latest and greatest of KwikTag.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. So to start, let's talk about what's driving change in AP. Where have we been? Where we're going, and what are we hearing about the future? Mary, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Certainly, Haley. You know, one of the things that we see that is driving change in the AP market and with our customers is that a lot of us went from working in one central location to immediately shifting to multiple locations and working from home, becoming very decentralized. So a lot of that had to do with the pandemic, of course, but even before that, we were seeing companies really feel the pressure to enable teams to work from anywhere. And especially if they're dealing with paper invoice processes and manual processes and waiting for approvals and that sort of thing, it can really bog things down. So this decentralized norm is definitely one of the drivers of change, which of course led to the next factor you see on the slide, which is the remote workforce. When we're all sitting at home, it's not the same as running down the hall and asking, on the status of an invoice or a payment. And, when you get those calls from vendors and what's the, when was it sent and what's the check number and all of that kind of thing. So this remote workforce really demands visibility and access from anywhere. Another factor that we're seeing is subscription purchasing. So as more department managers, budget owners, business leaders take control of their budgets and have access to maybe corporate cards or even subscription type services, these sorts of things really have a convenience factor. But again, with that decentralized accounting and lack of visibility, the accounting team, the budget team is sometimes losing control. So while the convenience is great for the company, that may not always be the best purchasing decision. So subscription purchases really need to be evaluated at the company level to make sure they make sense for the business. And then finally, cloud adoption. Everybody's moving to the cloud, right? Why? Well, the convenience, of course, but also the lower cost on IT, the lower infrastructure requirements, and just the ability to support this new work from anywhere era that we're seeing. So we're really seeing a lot of these different factors make a difference and drive the change. And these are just some of the key ones that we're experiencing with our customers and in the market at large.
Mary, that's some super interesting stuff. And it reminds me of this stat that 80% of companies are looking to move to the cloud their back office practices, such as accounts payable. With the new work from anywhere era you mentioned, priorities are shifting, and it's digital first, cloud first. The sort of mindset means that going digital is now a top business goal for many organizations. Can you share an example of a customer who adopted cloud AP automation as a result of these?
Absolutely, Haley. So this first example that we're going to share is about a software company that develops, markets, and supports a software portfolio. They're based in the southeast of the United States, and they've been in business for about 45 years. So they're a large organization with multiple locations across 28 states. And while AP automation and payment automation was a priority for them before the pandemic, due to some of those reasons that we just talked about, once the pandemic hit, it was no longer a question of if, but how fast. In fact, the CEO was pushing for no more printers, no more paper in the entire organization, and was moving the accounting team to a new level in the building, which gave them the opportunity to say, okay, we're not even going to have printers on your floor. So no more printers at desks. We're going to clean everything up. We're going to go high tech, which really hit home the point of they needed an AP automation solution quickly. And so the importance became even greater once the pandemic started, which actually came to life in March of 2020 when they sent everybody home. And by the end of April, they were live with the KwikPayables AP automation solution. Here are their goals. They wanted to improve the invoice and payment approval process because they had a lot of things managed on paper. They were tracking things on spreadsheets. They had no visibility into the status of invoice approvals. And another big driver was they really needed to increase the accuracy of their GL coding. They didn't have any control over it. They had a lot of different companies and a lot of different locations. So people were coding invoices to GL accounts that were not even supposed to be enabled for those specific companies or accounts. So it was really a challenge for them to then reconcile at the end of the month or the end of a period, which made close process a real challenge. So that all led to them getting through internal and external audits faster. So these were their goals in their automation project. Now, what they did with KwikPayables to convert this environment and truly transform into a digital cloud-first success story is that given their department, they had GP 2018, they had about 1,000 invoices per month, a little over 1,000 invoices per month, actually, 90% of which or so were payables invoices, not related to purchase orders. And they had multiple companies, as I mentioned before, but they were also using binary stream multi-entity management, which added to their configuration and their requirements to make sure that they could get an AP automation system that included that as part of the solution, which, as you can see, they chose KwikPayables from KwikTag for GP with binary stream mem so that all of their allocations across multiple companies would be handled for them automatically as part of the KwikPayables invoice workflow. And they included the payment batch approval workflow so that they could not have to print those, check remit support and invoice supporting documentation before checks and payments actually were issued as well. Some of the benefits that this company realized right away were certainly the advantage of the automated invoice approvals. They no longer had to chase people around to get those approvals taken care of. They gained control over the GL coding so that people couldn't code to accounts that they were not supposed to or that were allocated to a different company. They gained visibility into the invoice status and that audit trail that was just so important to them. And because we had them up and running so quickly, again, they went home at the beginning of March, they were live by the end of April in the same year. And that deployment time alone allowed them to regain internal organizational credibility and even have some members of their team win awards. So it was a really exciting transformation for their whole company.
That's really great, Mary. It's so awesome how quickly a large organization like this can get up and running with AP automation. But one thing I do want to touch on a little bit is, what about the smaller companies? There is a super common misconception that small companies can't afford to go digital for a variety of reasons, but that's actually not true. When time and money are at stake, no company is too small. I mean, consider that manual invoices cost $23 each when processed manually. And payment fraud costs $19 billion a year in the US alone. Tiffany, can you share a scenario of a company who is able to go digital as a smaller size?
Happy to do so. I mean, I'm thrilled to talk about this customer success story. This is a healthcare organization out of the South that came to us in the middle of the pandemic. And honestly, they were truly crippled based on their entire staff going remote. And they really, truly never thought they had an opportunity for AP automation, but they knew they had to make a change. They didn't think it was going to be an affordable one. And we really were able to highlight not only the value to their end users and their AP department, but also justify the cost to their financial organization, to their CFO. So crippled, what I mean there is that their biggest pain point, hands down, was lost invoices. They were emailing invoices out, they were trying to track them on Excel spreadsheets, and they were getting phone calls from vendors that they were paying invoices late. So they were incurring a tremendous amount of late fees. For a small organization, this was unacceptable to them. They knew that they had to find a solution really quickly. So, and when I say small, they're definitely small, about 500 invoices per month. They're leveraging 10 users within our KwikPayables environment, processing all non-purchase order invoices. So when they needed a solution, they needed it quick. Obviously, we meant that we highlighted they were crippled. Everybody was working remotely. So we definitely approached them with what's called KwikPayables Accelerate. So that is our out-of-the-box cloud AP automation solution that ensures they can be up and running in a very short time frame, about 30 days. But also it kind of says, hey, you're going to operate within this out-of-the-box configuration. They really appreciated that because first, our out-of-the-box configuration allowed them to layer in thresholds. They were never able to say, hey, if this invoice exceeds this amount, we're automatically going to queue the review and approval to our CFO as well. So they love that flexibility that was built into the solution. As they went live, their end users were thrilled. It was a one-click approval process for them by email. Quite honestly, I don't even think their end users, guys, ever enter into the KwikPayables interface, and that's your prerogative, absolutely. They love the email approval. And it has greatly reduced the processing time for their team. So they're no longer being challenged with those the late fees that they were incurring based on paying invoices late. And now that they're live, up and running, people are moving back into the office, they're actually taking on a new initiative of removing all the file cabinets out of the hallway by scanning in all their other documents that they were storing paper-wise in a digital fashion thanks to the KwikTag solution.
That's so great, Tiffany. I am overjoyed to be able to help transform these companies' processes. So we've talked about time, we've talked about money, we've talked about resources, but what about the people? What about the AP team behind it all? Especially since this work from anywhere era has redefined the employee experience for so many of us. Companies are now needing to invest in technology that improve employee satisfaction, maintain longevity, and overall improve work environments. So, Sean, I hear you have an example of how AP automation can change the work-life balance of an AP team.
Yeah, you bet. So this is a great story. This is about a company from the Midwest, technology-based company, managed service provider, a lot of growth going on, and they were 100% manual with their AP process. And just one AP person, and he was doing a great job, and it was really his workload that he had taken on that was really so impressive. This person was handling 1,500 invoices a month all by themselves, and that's about double the average of what I usually see by the time people come to us and say, we need help, we need help. So this was a great employee doing a great job, and we did a discovery call and demoed like this where the cameras are on and we could tell he was working from home. And as I got to know him more and more, I just realized, wow, he is juggling so much with his family responsibilities and some weekend travel with one of his kids who was an athlete and all this stuff going on that was pulling him in so many directions. Yet here he was doing twice as much work that I've ever seen anybody do in his position, 1,500 invoices a month. Again, from home, distributed environment like we've been talking about. And as this demo unfolded and he saw what this product was going to do for him, the guy literally, I don't think he cried, but it was close. Almost like tears of enjoyment. He's like, this is going to be great. This is going to change my life. And so they adopted, as it says there on the screen, KwikPayables Accelerate, our cloud solution for GP, with KTIQ, which is our OCR solution, for lack of a better term, that handles all the data entry for you, significantly reducing this person's workload. Payment batch approval, so even after the invoices come in and get approved, making that process so easy. And it really did. Obviously, they've gone to an all paperless environment since then. They were at that breaking point where they were going to have to perhaps hire another person. Now they don't have to, and they've improved this gentleman's work-life balance, which was key. I could tell you, talking to this guy, it's the kind of guy you want on your team. Such a great attitude. And then evidenced by the fact that, wow, he can do twice as much work that the industry standard kind of usually points to. That's somebody you want to have on your team. And an investment like this, too, that's something else we don't talk a whole lot about, but an investment like this in your company to make not only the processes better and bring the company more, kind of up to date, if you will, but the employees, from what I've heard from my clients after talking to them after a while, they really appreciate the company investing. They see it as an investment in them. When it's in a technology that positively affects their work life on a daily basis, that's really appreciated. And who else would you rather have feeling that way than these great employees like this? Because it's hard right now, right? To get good people, to keep good people. And if you got them, you want them to stick around. So it was a great story. And again, I just loved the personal aspect of that. And I'm really excited to see where else this company goes with KwikTag, because we have more things we can do with them and for them.
Thank you so much for that, Sean. It's just such a moving success story, I think. And thank you to each of you for sharing your case studies and really showing how AP automation with KwikTag can change the future of a company. It really shows how AP automation is one step closer to ruling the world. We're almost there. So we're going to take a quick moment, and Mary is going to show you all how it really works.
Thanks, Haley. Yeah, the examples are great. And I think it's really important that everyone understands how the pieces do fit together in this process flow. So what KwikPayables accelerate for Dynamics GP, which what you've heard both Tiffany and Sean mention in their success story examples, is an intelligent, touchless AP and payment automation solution that's built on AI for data extraction that's almost as smart as you are, and it can automate your vendor payment processing step as well, and improve the entire process from end to end. So it starts with digital capture of your invoices. Sean mentioned KTIQ, that's kind of step 2, that's intelligent data capture, which really makes the indexing step more of a validation. And then the workflow process automation. Tiffany mentioned that there's threshold approval requirements that some customers have. That's built into the workflow automatically. Upon final approval, those transactions get created in GP. And then if you need us to actually issue the vendor payments, that can be part of your solution as well. We're going to take a look at what that looks like inside the product here as well. So the first thing that happens, as I mentioned, intelligent invoice capture and indexing happens before your AP person even sees the screen or the data or the invoice. This is the queue that's populated. You can see on the left, there's multiple different task queues. KTIQ not only is looking at the data like you and I would, like a human would read this invoice, it's also real-time connected to GP to determine which type of invoice it is based on the data that it finds. Is it a payables invoice? Is it a purchasing invoice that has a receiving transaction? Or is it a purchasing invoice that doesn't have a receiving transaction yet created? It's going to put it in the right task queue. So the person working this index queue, of course, you're seeing the payables invoice index, which would create a payables transaction entry upon completion in GP. We're going to look at a couple of different examples here. These are the invoices and the data that's already been extracted using KTIQ. Now, we're going to take a look at another step in which the three-way match, an enter match transaction gets created. This is a specific example of an invoice. I've drilled into my purchase enter match index queue, and I can see the data on the screen, of course, and the image of the invoice on the right, as you're looking at here. And my job here is pretty much done. You guys, this is so fast and so easy for your AP team to adopt. As Sean just mentioned, people can get up and running very, very quickly. If I look at this data, I see a grid full of data that I haven't had to do any data entry on yet. I just know there's an invoice in this queue that I'm going to work as the AP person to either determine if it's matched or not, and if it's ready to go into GP. So we'll select one, and this is what it looks like. Once we get into the actual indexing step, you can see here that all of the data on the left-hand side has been either read or populated due to that GP connection that I mentioned, based on the invoice that you see displayed on the right. And on this screen, you get additional information like vendor ID. And if there was company information that was available, we would read that information in from GP as well. But if you look at the bottom, we're also pulling in the purchase invoice lines. Again, we know there was a receiving transaction. We even show you in that line item what the receiving shipment that it's been matched to. So looking at this invoice, my job as AP is done. Everything matches, everything's good to go. If I needed to submit it for workflow, if there were any exceptions, or if this was a payables invoice that might need multiple steps of workflow review and approval, comments, whatever, of course, all of that gets facilitated through KwikPayables. But in this case, we're looking at a three-way match. KTIQ has done the data extraction, the line items match to the invoice that we're looking at. We're going to press submit and move on to the next step in the process. The next step is we go into Dynamics GP. I've opened the purchasing invoice entry screen, as you can see here. KwikTag attaches to the additional menu. I've already taken that step for you so that you can see the end result of the transaction having been created with the line item data. And the document, of course, is attached and lives in KwikTag for your archive purposes and research and reporting needs. So all of the process is handled for you automatically. Now, I mentioned there's a final step that's also available for people, and we mentioned it in several of the examples, and that's payment batch review and approval. What happens here is many times we talk to customers who go through the invoice review and approval process, digitize end to end, and then they print this stack of papers that they either take or ship to their check signer, right? Their controller, their CFO, or whoever. And that person then has to now undo all of the value that we've created with this digital process. Well, we streamline that for you now completely. So the payment batch approval takes all of the batches, again, real-time connected to GP, that are available to be submitted. They get routed for review and approval, much like the invoice workflow does. And the person reviewing and approving can even drill down to the payment level and see, what does this payment cover, how many invoices, what amounts, et cetera. So they have that visibility and access here. The final step in the process is that the payment data itself is actually also visible in KwikPayables Accelerate. We're going to feed that data back from GP with the payment number, the payment status, and the payment method, as well as the date. So you're going to have all that information at your fingertips, whether you're the AP person receiving that call from the vendor, or if you're another business person that needs to access it for review, reporting, or audit purposes at some point in the future. So end to end, from invoice capture to payment approval, and that payment data still in the same system, you'll have visibility to the entire process. So that's how KwikPayables is changing the life of these companies that we've shared with you as examples. And you can see it in action for yourself. If you'd like, stop by our booth, as Haley mentioned, or give us a call. We'd love to have a personal conversation with you as well. Now, there's measurable benefits and results that these organizations see once they go live. And as Sean mentioned, he had a company that was, just getting started, and they're really looking forward to being up and running in just a matter of a few weeks. Tiffany's small organization was able to get up and running in about 30 days. The example I shared was up and running with a large organization using multi-entity management in right around 30 to 40 days. So it can happen very, very quickly. And why is because they have a solution that really met their needs, and they were able to get up and running very quickly in the cloud. Now, some of the additional measurable benefits that you see represented here is amazing ROI right there in the middle. 50% achieve ROI in less than 6 months, 80% less than a year, and they reduce their document processing costs by about 90%. All of this is due to the intelligent invoice indexing, the automatic extraction of the data, the real-time connection to GP, those sorts of things. The visibility that they gain is priceless because now they are working from anywhere and they need that access. They're reducing their overall costs, and they're really gaining control over their organizational spend. What that means is that AP really can rule the world because they can start to predict how the budget should be managed, where the spend should be allocated because of the insight that they're gaining from their AP and payment automation solution all in one place, all managed in the cloud. Tiffany and Sean, I'd love for you to add any closing thoughts or additional benefits or remarks that you'd like to share with our audience today.
Mary, absolutely. I think, as evidenced by the customer case story that I shared, is definitely make sure that you consider your options when it comes to AP automation. So many people out there today think that AP automation may not be affordable for their organization. I think that small organization that I shared with you today, 500 invoices, about 10 employees, really is proof that there really is an affordable option out there for you today. The technology continues to evolve in this marketplace, and we continue to improve the technology that's driving that cost down.
Awesome. Sean?
Yeah, don't forget the people, right? Especially during these times. Obviously, we've all been through so much in the last couple of years, but even now, just hiring people and good people is really challenging. happy software makes for a happy job to be done on a daily basis, and you want those good people to come to work energized and enthused, and equipped and ready to do a great job for you. So remember the people, and just make sure you're keeping up to date with the software that helps support them on a daily basis.
That's really great. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Sean, for your time today and sharing customer success stories. In case anyone missed the beginning, we are KwikTag by InChoice. We are a Microsoft Gold partner who has been in the dynamic space for about 20 years. Today, we discussed our cloud AP automation solution for GP. It's called KwikPayables Accelerate. And coming soon, we'll also have one for Business Central. And thanks again to DynamicsCon for hosting us today. We are so happy to be here. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the box or come visit us at our virtual booth at any time during the event to start the discussion, and we'll answer any questions you might have. Good morning, DynamicsCon. Thank you all for joining us online and watching our session and learning about whether AP automation can rule the world. If you think it can, drop it in the box, and I'd like to hear a tally.
Should take a vote. For sure.
All right. As you saw, I'm Haley McLaughlin. I'm joined by the amazing Mary Miller, and we're here to answer any of your live questions. I'm looking in the box and don't see any quite yet, but one question that we get all the time, and it has such a great answer, is what does implementation look like? Does it take a long time? Mary, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure thing, Haley. And it is really a popular question because I think people expect projects like this that are really going to change the way they manage some of their financial and accounting processes to take a long time, and they're going to have to get a lot of people involved. And, sometimes change can be hard. So I think the reality is that especially when you move forward with a cloud solution, it can be up and running very quickly, as evidenced by the examples that we shared. And we've literally seen companies go live with cloud solution in just a matter of a few weeks. Now, it can, of course, take longer if you want to bring a number of different people from different teams, or potentially if you're working on a more complex or customized project, then it might not be so out of the box. Those things can take a little bit longer, but it's typically more about scheduling and finding time on our calendars than it is to actually implement and start using the software. In the examples that we shared today, these customers got up and running very quickly, and because of the pandemic, it made it even a greater need for them to get up and running very quickly. So I think some of it depends on where your business goes, but it can go in just a few weeks, or of course it can take longer if you have other steps in the process.
Awesome. Yeah, it's so exciting. I love that we're able to answer that question with such a great, 30 days, whatever you want. We're here for you. It's cloud-based.
Right.
It is really awesome. Another question along those lines that we get pretty often is, how is support handled? What does that look like?
Yeah, because we work with so many partners in the Dynamics community, it's often a question the customer wants to know, do I have to go through my partner to get support? Is there going to be a lag? What if I need help right now? And at KwikTag, we have all of our support handled right here in Tempe, Arizona. And so they can call and get a live person, they can email in or log a ticket on our website or whatever, and we'll handle that support directly. So of course, we want to keep the partner community involved. And if there's help that they can augment with something that a customer needs, we certainly keep them in the conversation. But if the customer needs help now and needs help specifically with our product, they can call us directly, work with us directly, and our team is very responsive and easy to work with.
Perfect. So that looks like we are just about at time for Q&A. But again, thank you, Mary, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We are proud to be a DynamicsCon sponsor. If you have any other questions, you can stop by our booth. And we will be at DynamicsCon Live in San Antonio this fall, so we look forward to seeing you all there.
Awesome. Thanks, Haley. Thanks, team.